and good evening, sports fans, and welcome to a brand new episode of Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tonight, we'll be taking our usual broad look across the DMV landscape. We're going to start on, of course, with college basketball, the hot topic right now. March Madness has not been super mad, although we have had a few upsets so far in the tournament, including a big one today, not having to do with the DMV. But we're going to take a look at how the DMV teams have been faring. Spoiler alert, there's only one team left in both brackets, and I think it's the exact one that we thought was going to be the last one remaining. We'll, of course, then jump into the week that was for the Caps and the Wizards. Everything's back to normal. For a few weeks there was a lack of normality. The Wizards were doing well. The Caps were kind of 50-50. Some weeks the Wizards were outdoing the Caps. We have returned to normal. We have returned to standard, everybody. Everything is good. Relax. We can end the panic. We're going to take a look at how well the Caps did, how poorly the Wizards did, and some significant updates for both that have happened within the last week. We'll then finish off our show with some baseball talk, including a disgruntled player in Baltimore, a top prospect not happy with being sent back down to AAA. Couple of the statements redacted, but we're going to talk about that. And then a little bit of football news, couple of signings, couple of moves for both the Ravens and the Commanders, but probably the last we're going to see from either side before we head to the draft. And of course, we're going to be doing all of this while continuing our DMV series with a potent double IPA. If you can see that number, oh yeah, this is a bad boy right here. We've got all of that and more coming up on Let's Whine About DMV Sports on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
Around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you all for tuning in. Once again, shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, premium brisket beef jerky that is on a whole nother planet. Go to planetjerky.net to get yours today. Also, Vital Apparel, go to their website, use code IESR to get 15% off. They donate proceeds from every sale to mental health research. Great cause there. So do head on over and get your next set of workout gear today. Also, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. Go to Instagram at sealthedeal_wax seals. Custom wax seals, perfect for your special occasion, your final touch for your wedding, baby shower, birthday, big holiday party, whatever it may be. St. Patrick's Day party, who knows? But head on over to Instagram once again at sealthedeal_wax seals. And our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com. Use promo code IESR to get 10% off today. They have all different kinds of supplements, proteins, all different kinds of things you need for your routine. No matter what your routine is, they have something for you. So once again, go to getrawnutrition.com, use promo code IESR to get 10% off today. And of course, if you have not done so already, please follow yours truly on X at letswine_IESR. And if you're a fan of the show, fan of the network, fan of any of our shows, do be sure to head to our supporters club. Every show's got a bunch of fun, great perks, and just $5 a month can get you some perks on this show as well. We'll talk about your favorite wine, your favorite team, invite you on. We'll make it worth your while. Do not worry about that. So once again, at letswine_IESR on X. We have a lot of sports to get to, but first, the chat room, which is already hopping. We've got Ralph Calise saying, good evening, let's wine, dine, and talk serious sports. Your thoughts on Ovechkin, the goals record? We're going to get to that in a moment, sir, doing our weekly Ovechkin record watch. We got Taryn Rodriguez. Good evening, sir. Have a good show. Thank you. Thank you. Adam Karnick jumping in as well. What are we whining about tonight? Everything. We're whining about everything. There's a lot to whine about. There's always something to whine about, especially with DMV Sports. Brian Fascione jumping in there. He's got his bracket to whine about. Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. And then Adam Karnick noting the clean look, trimmed it up a little bit, hair, beard mostly gone. So we're going a little bit cleaner this week. But thank you, sir. Thank you for the compliment. But of course, before we get into our sports, we have to talk our beverage. We are continuing DMV month. Last week, we had a beer from Delaware from Dogfish Head Brewing. Now we're flipping over to, and I think a very interesting little theme here, Flying Dog Brewing out of Maryland. I know we went to Dogfish Head, and then we had Flying Dog Brewing. Now, for the record, I don't know if the DMV is more dog friendly than any other particular region of the country, but I mean the fact that we are 2 for 2 on dog themed or at least dog mentioned breweries is something for sure. But we have Flying Dog Brewery. There you go. There's their fun little logo. They are out of, and I should really know this off the top of my head, but I do not. It doesn't say the city. Interesting. Okay. Well, I know they're out of Maryland, so there's that. And this is actually one of their more tame beverages here. Their Double Dog IPA. You can see they get a little crazy with the logos there. I'm actually covering a certain thing for a moment here. Adam Carnett, yes, sir. Every dog has his day for sure. They have another beer, another IPA. That I hope this is a explicit show because their other beer is popular beer is Raging Bitch IPA. So there's that. That kind of tells you a lot that you need to know about Flying Dog. Some of their other beers here, they've got a huge variety. The Double Dog Juicy Double IPA. That's kind of a new one. They have the Truth, which is an Imperial IPA. The Raging BITCH, which is their standard IPA. I don't know why that's their standard. They have another IPA called Snake Dog, a Blood Orange IPA, which they call Bloodline. And then they have a handful of seasonal beers as well. They have an Imperial Pumpkin Ale called The Fear, and then they have their numero uno Mexican Lager. So they do indeed. They also, looks like they have a variety of The Truth. Which one is The Truth? The Truth is the Imperial IPA. They have a whole range as well. Frederick, Maryland, by the way. I am now seeing that. But yes, very good brewery. They make very nice beers. This is their, like I said, the Double Dog Double IPA. There's that ABV for you, 12%. So this is not a beer to toy with, ladies and gentlemen. Let me put it that way. If you recall, kind of the standard for beers is usually in the 5 to 7 range. So this beer has double the alcohol content of a traditional beer, whether it be an IPA, pale ale, stout, lager, whatever it may be. A lot of them fall in that range. This is getting into some bourbon barrel aged stuff, which tends to be a little bit more potent. But well, let's start by looking at the beer. You look at the color, definitely a deep amber color to that. A lot deeper and richer in color than some of our other beers that we have tried here on the show. Let's give it a sniff. Sniff. It doesn't have that over hoppy aroma. It does have a little bit of the hoppy aroma that you get from an IPA, but what I was saying, a beer like this, and this is why you pay attention to the ABV. Imagine if you were just casually looking for some beers and you saw, ooh, Double Dog, that looks fun. Maybe I'll try that. And next thing you know, you've put away two 12% beers, which, by the way, a bottle of beer, 12 ounces, a bottle of wine, 25.4 ounces. 12%, which is actually kind of a standard alcohol rate for a wine. This, if you drank two of these, it would almost be the equivalent of drinking a full bottle of wine. So that's kind of your alcohol retrospect right there when you're talking about the ABV. So this is another one of those reminding lessons. Of course, we always, promote please drink responsibly, do not drink and drive, especially when you've got something like this with that 12% on there. Please drink responsibly with a beer like this. I mean, some beers like that, they'll cut you off. Like they'll say limit 2 at the bar or something like that. So in any case, we've looked at the color, we've smelt it. Now we have to go to the taste. Pretty smooth. Double IPAs tend to lean less on the hops. You get less of that prominently hoppy, piney flavor, and everything's a little bit more smooth, more mellowed out, more balanced with the malts in there. This one definitely has a stronger maltier presence than most. It's tough to describe. There's definitely a richer flavor to a beer that has a higher alcohol content. It has a warmer flavor to it. Like this beer was in the fridge for a couple of weeks, setting up for obviously the DMV theme. And it's been out for maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, something like that. And it's already basically warm, essentially. It's warm to the taste because of that higher alcohol content. At least that's my interpretation of that. Typically, when I drink these types of richer, higher alcohol content beers, they don't get as cold like you would expect, like a Bud Light, a Busch Light, a Pale Ale, something like that. I'm assuming that's going to correlate to the alcohol. That would be my interpretation. And they warm up a little bit faster, and they just taste warmer, richer, fuller on the tongue. So this is not a beer I would describe as crushable. It's one that you sip slowly over time, which of course correlates with the alcohol content as well. But it's a very good beer. It's got good flavor, good richness, definitely more of a warm weather beer, I would say as well. That's a combination of all of those factors. When we were in the winter months and we were doing our theme of winter beverages, what were we always talking about? We were always talking about higher alcohol content, richer, fuller flavor, something that's a little bit weightier in the stomach. This fits that category very well. So, shout out Flying Dog Brewery out of Maryland. You make great beers, but you also make beers that are not to be trifled with, not to be taken lightly. Before we go on our first break, we are going to go ahead and just get our NCAA tournament check-in out of the way. The DMV had some representation going into the bracket. Obviously, Selection Sunday was last Sunday. We have missed it by a day, naturally. And then we have already completed the first round in its entirety for the men's bracket. We are now on to the second round. And also, on the women's side, we're about 2/3 of the way through the first round. Their first round should be done by the end of the day today. So let's check in on our DMV teams. Obviously, the main one that we have been talking about all season long is Maryland. Maryland had their first round matchup, and they were a 4 seed in the West Division, in the western portion of the bracket, and they got Grand Canyon out of Arizona. Shout out to Alden, the host of our Arizona sports show. But Grand Canyon was no match for the Terps. They handled them easily, 81-49. Moving on to the second round against Colorado State, who pulled off an upset over Memphis. And I got to say, on a personal bracket point, I was so nearly perfect to getting that West portion exactly right. I had Oklahoma over UConn in the 8 versus 9. It was my only blemish in that part of the bracket. So I was very close there. I got Drake, I got Arkansas, and I got Colorado State, interestingly enough. But I missed on Oklahoma. I Overall, my bracket's doing pretty well. I've got a couple misses here and there, a couple of just boneheaded decisions that I should have just never made. But hey, it's March Madness. You never know. I'm currently down one Elite 8 team, being Clemson, that was upset by McNeese State in the first round. It's bound to happen. But enough about my bracket. Let's keep talking DMV representatives, which I believe there were only 2 more on the men's side here. And I think, interestingly enough, they were both in the same bracket. They were both in the eastern part of the bracket. Liberty got a first-round matchup against Oregon. They were handled definitively, 81-52. Not really a matchup there. And then VCU got a matchup against BYU. This was a close one, but BYU ultimately came out on top, 80-71. BYU is actually currently beating the 3 seed in that bracket, Wisconsin, 47-36. I don't know how Wisconsin got a 3 seed. What was one of the more interesting seeding decisions I saw in the bracket, but BYU coming out and looking pretty darn good here. So far, looks like I think maybe I am 3 of 4 so far on the second round games. Auburn and Michigan, I know. Texas Tech, I think I had St. John's over Arkansas. So Arkansas pulling off that upset cost me a couple points there, but not bad. So far, the bracket's not looking too bad. The bracket's not looking too bad on the men's side. I'm happy about it. Moving over to the women's side, where, like I said, they're most of the way through their first round. Let's go through our DMV representatives, starting off, of course, again with Maryland, which the Maryland women's team had a very good season. They faced off against another DMV team, Norfolk State, in the first round. Norfolk State actually gave them a little bit of trouble, but Maryland was able to hold on and win 82-69, so they advanced to play Alabama in the second round here, and the winner will likely end up against South Carolina, a team that is not only great, but also kind of feeling a little bit scorned because of their not getting the top overall seed in the tournament. So that's just a great situation for us to be walking in, for the Lady Terps to be walking into. Other DMV representatives going down the list here. We also had Liberty, who made it for the women's side as well. They took Kentucky to the brink. That was almost your upset special of the first round, but Kentucky barely held on, 79-78. So unfortunately, Liberty couldn't quite pull off that upset there. George Mason is currently in their first round game against Florida State. George Mason made it as an 11 seed. Florida State the 6 seed. Florida State is up 75-54 with 6 minutes left, which, as you know personally, I'm not super upset about, being from Florida State. Or not from Florida State, having gone to Florida State. So I'm happy to see the Seminoles doing very well, but unfortunately that means we're going to get another one of our DMV schools booted. I wonder, do we have any? I don't see any. Actually, I think Southern. No, Southern's not in the DMV. Never mind. And then one last DMV representative, Richmond, who made it as an 8 seed. We were talking about the Spiders. entering the season or entering the tournament as a team that was doing very well and getting votes for the top 25. They get in as an 8 seed, and they beat Georgia Tech 74-49 in their first round game. So they have a matchup against the 1 seed in their bracket, UCLA. Of the 1 seeds that I see on this list, UCLA probably scares me the least. No offense to the Bruins, but I'm definitely scared of South Carolina. USC has Juju Watkins. No, I can't question that. And then Texas, I believe, was the number 1 overall seed in the entire bracket. So no, again, no offense to UCLA, very good team. But of the 4 1 seeds, if I were to pick any of them for Richmond to play in the first round, it would be UCLA. It would be the same for Houston. For Maryland to get matched up in Houston against Houston would have been my preference there. But in any case, still at least one DMV representative in both brackets, which means we get to talk about more college basketball next week, folks, because if anything, we're going to be talking about who got knocked out. Finally, we have to at least give a shout out to the teams that make it a little bit further. That will do it for the first part of our show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're jumping into the Caps and the Wizards. So do not go away. You're listening to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we're the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's jump into our pro teams now that we've covered our college basketball. We're going to give college baseball a week off. Don't worry, there'll be plenty more to cover next week. We'll jump back into them. There'll be much less college basketball to talk about for sure. Let's start with the Caps, who are back on it. They're back on it, guys. 3-0 on the week, 47-15-8 overall. Just a fantastic record. That puts them at 102 points, a still definitive lead in the Eastern Conference in the Metropolitan Division. In their last 10, they are 9-1. They've officially won 4 in a row, and that actually gives them the best last 10 in the entirety of the NHL. It did belong to Carolina, the team that's trying to catch them, who, by the way, I gotta, first of all, I'm near the Hurricanes. Shout out to the Hurricanes. Very good hockey team, but it's got to be brutal to go on a 9-game winning streak, right? Lose one game, just one game. So they went on an 8-game winning streak. Sorry. So won 8 in a row, lose one game, and you look up and you're still 14 points in the standings behind the team ahead of you with 13 games left. That has got to be an absolutely demoralizing feeling for the Hurricanes. But nonetheless, I can't also feel too bad for them because, obviously, Caps all the way. A couple of significant mile markers. Obviously, as you can see, they got to the 100-point mark. They actually were the first team to get to 100 points. They beat Winnipeg by a couple of hours, who actually got their 100th point of the season later on that same evening that the Caps did. It's actually interesting. If you look at their records overall, the Caps, if you combine the losses, the regulation losses, and the overtime losses / shootout losses, the Caps are 47-23. Winnipeg is actually 48-22, but the Caps have more points because 4 of their losses were overtime losses, or overtime or shootout losses. So, yeah. So Caps still doing pretty good. Also, they officially, when they won the game that got them the 100th point over the Flyers earlier in the week, they also officially clinched their playoff spot, making them the first team in the National Hockey League to do so. So they were the first to 100 points, and they were the first to clinch their playoff spot. So great stuff. Now, they haven't clinched seeding. This is just saying there is a 100% chance officially. It had been 100% probably for the past month and a half. But there was a 100% chance that the Capitals will be in the NHL playoffs, in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And, in terms of number 1 overall seed, they have a 14-point lead over Carolina, who has actually played one fewer game than them. So that's significant to note. They have a 15-point lead over Toronto and Florida, who are both in the Atlantic Division. So that would be for the top overall record in the Eastern Conference. And all of that is with 12 games to play for the Caps, and then 13 to play for Carolina and Toronto, also 12 left to play for Florida. Tampa's also in that discussion as well. It's going to be really interesting. The Atlantic Division, the top 3 are only separated by 2 points, so that's going to be a really interesting race. The race in the Pacific Division, they're only separated all by 3 points, the top 3, so that's going to be interesting as well. Central, Winnipeg probably has that, and then the Metropolitan. It would be amazing. The Devils don't have a chance. They're They're the 3rd team in the division, and they're 22 points back with 12 games to play. There's absolutely no way they are going to catch the Caps. So it's really Carolina, and even then, Carolina would need to go on an absolute run, and the Caps would have to collapse. You're talking. At minimum, 16 points automatically gets the Caps. Actually, no. Let me redo the math there. 13 points automatically gets the Caps the division. So 13 points with 12 games left, and that would require Carolina to win their last 13 games. So, yeah, it's looking pretty darn good for the Caps to take the division. I hope they don't get the President's Trophy. I hope they cool it off and let Winnipeg get it, because the team that wins the President's Trophy, which is the most points of any team in the NHL, does not usually win the Stanley Cup. So that's a little bit of a curse that I would like to avoid. Player of the Week. Lots of fantastic offensive performances across the board. A lot of guys putting up multiple points, multi-points games. The game today, I think like 5 or 6 different Caps had 2 points, either a goal and an assist or 2 assists. including Alex Ovechkin, had 2 assists. He's missing the point of the record chase here. So there's that. But Logan Thompson gets our player of the week, 2-0 on the week, a 2 goals against average. Technically, it was I think it was 2.01 because he actually didn't play every second of the game today against Florida. If I had to interpret, so he played 59 minutes and 32 seconds. He probably came off the ice because it's actually common for teams to pull their goaltender if there is a pending penalty. So for those of you who are not familiar with hockey, when a team commits a penalty, that penalty is officially called when that team touches the puck. So if a team commits a penalty on you and you have the puck, then there's an exact term for it. And we've got Adam Karnick in the chat, who's the host of our Neutral Zone show. Adam, if you can chime in and help me with the term that I am missing here, but it's when there's the ref has the penalty call in wait, but the other team hasn't touched the puck. What you will often do if you're kind of in that hold is you will pull your goaltender to get an extra man on the ice because there's less of a risk of the other team scoring a goal when they can't touch the puck without the penalty being called. So that's probably what it was, but in any case, 933 save percentage, very good, very solid performances. The goaltending was looking a little iffy in the beginning of March, late February, beginning of March, but Thompson has smoothed it out. Lindgren has smoothed it out as well, so they're both looking good down the stretch. Alex Ovechkin record watch, unfortunately, I forgot to make a banner for that, so I apologize, but he is up to the Great 8 is up to 888 goals. It could not be more appropriate. Part of me wants him to just stop and end his career at 888. I think that would be phenomenal, but that's not going to happen. So he is 6 to tie, 7 to break the record with 12 games left in the regular season. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, his career goal per game is like 0.599, which if you multiply that by 12 comes out to 7 goals. So he's right on pace to get it by the end of the season if he keeps it up. I would like to see him maybe get a multi-goal game here in the next couple of games to kind of expedite the process a bit. Maybe string together a few games with goals here. Get a couple empty netters. I don't care. But maybe speed up the process a little bit. I don't want this drama hanging over like the last couple of games. Well, actually, it would bring the excitement because there's a very good chance that the team will have clinched their spot with 5-6 games to go maybe, so it'll bring some fun for the last 5 to 6 games that otherwise people probably would not pay as much attention to. So that's the positive for the Caps. Now let's get over to the Wizards, who have returned to normal. 1-3 on the week, and that one was the game against the Nuggets last Saturday that started after the start of our show, so we could not quite capture that result. They are playing the Knicks right now, and I'm going to get a quick check-in on that score. 82-56, the Knicks have the lead at the midway point in the third quarter. I might check in on that game and maybe call it an official result here before the end of our show, maybe in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so to call it. Maybe officially put us at 15-55. Lots of fives in that record. But anyways, 1-3 on the week, 15-54 overall. Very important loss happened against the Utah Jazz. Now, as we had discussed, I think we had discussed it last week, or maybe it happened with the win over the Nuggets last Saturday. The Caps actually lost the worst record in the league to the Jazz, but then with the loss to the Jazz earlier this week, they regained the title for worst record. So I don't know if that's not really that significant. I don't necessarily want to win that title, but that's kind of where the team has been. That's kind of what we've been talking about all week or all season, really. I mean, not all season. There was that time where the team was 2-2. Let's remember. Now, admittedly, that was 65 games ago. And since going 2-2, they've been 13-52, probably about to be 13-53. But actually, 13-52, that's exactly 20%. Huh. Look at that. They have a 20% winning percentage since they were 2-2. There's your fun math fact for the day. That's right. We throw statistics out here on Let's Whine About DMV Sports. But in any case, they do get a player of the week because they did win a game. Technically, it was exactly a week ago. So, I mean, it counts. It counts. But in any case, rookie Alex Sarr gets rookie of the week. And I've been meaning to shout him out for some time. Technically, this goes back, but over his last 5 games, averaging over 20 points a game, shooting 40% from 3, and averaging 1.6 blocks and 7 or so, I think it's like 7.5 rebounds a game. So he has played very well lately. It's great to see him. I wonder where he stands in the conversations for Rookie of the Year. He did win Rookie of the Month, I believe, for December or January. I can't remember which one. So he has played very well down the stretch. So has rookie Citation George. Bub Carrington, I've noticed, has fallen off a bit lately, but I do also need to extend condolences to Bub Carrington. It was announced via the Wizards on Twitter earlier today that Bub's father, Bub Carrington Sr., did pass away. So my condolences to the Carrington family. Lots of warm, heartfelt messages I saw about Bub Sr. today. So my condolences to that family. So yes, Kaishan George has played very well for his rookie season. Alex Sarr has played very well. The team continues to get contributions around Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart, their free agent or their trade deadline acquisitions. The issue seems to be a growing number of injuries, which always seems to happen this time of year for teams that mysteriously find themselves at the bottom of the rankings, that somehow half of their starting lineups or several of their key bench contributors, and this is not the Wizards, this is pretty much across the league, managed to find themselves hurt a lot this time of year. Could it be the wear and tear of reaching the 70th game of the season? It could be. It could be. That sounds reasonable. Maybe some of these guys had existing ailments. Maybe they've tried to play through the ailments. Couldn't have anything to do with the fact that the teams are doing really badly and looking probably have half an eye on their draft lottery position. No, couldn't be that reason. No, it's definitely the wear and tear of the season. No. Speaking of lottery positioning update, of course, like I said, the Wizards lost to the Jazz. That dropped them to the worst record in the league, which gets them back in that number 1 spot, which, as we have discussed previously on the show, only impacts where you land if everybody manages to jump you in the lottery. Now, being worst has not worked out for teams since the new lottery system has happened. In fact, no team that has had the worst record in the league has won the lottery since the current lottery system was installed. Now, teams have come up from second to win the lottery. Teams have come up from third to win the lottery. So it's almost better to finish second or third than it is to finish first. Also, nobody who's finished fourth has won the lottery either, which is an interesting mathematical result. But then again, we only have 6 renditions of the lottery. So that is not enough to make a statistically definitive statement. You need 30 pieces of data in your sample size. But looking at the overall standings, so the Wizards are the worst. Oh, and by the way, side note, they also got officially eliminated from the playoffs, as if we were worried about that. But the Wizards are the worst, 15-54, soon to be 15-55 from the looks of it. The Utah Jazz, right there just by percentage points. If you played out the rest of the season at this rate, they would end tied. So there you go. And then the Wizards are 2.5 games worse than Charlotte and 3 games worse than New Orleans. So, in the grand scheme of things, they finishing second or third among those 4. And by the way, it basically is those 4 because the gap between New Orleans and Brooklyn, who's the 5th worst team by record right now, is about 5 games with 12 games left. So don't think that gap is going to close fast enough. So it's those four. Finishing second or third out of those four. Let the Jazz take the number one overall pick or number one overall odds. Not really necessarily feeling it. See, but ultimately it comes down to the lottery and the lottery. That's what it comes down to. Who gets lucky on lottery night? I can't say I'm a fan of the system. I think it's a weird statistical oddity that in 6 runnings of this current lottery, the worst team in the league has never won it. That just feels weird to me. That just feels weird to me. I don't know. But in any case, that'll do it for the second part of our show. We're going to take our final break. When we come back, we're going to jump into some more pro sports on the baseball and football side. Do not go away. You're listening to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, yo, what's good, Georgia? It's your boy ACS, and if you love sports from the Peach State as much as I do, then Georgia Sports Central is your one-stop destination for down south sports, courtesy of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you a Yellow Jacket at heart, or do you bleed the red and black of the Bulldogs? Do you keep it true to Atlanta with Trae Young, Capella, and the boys? Do you rise up with the Dirty Birds on Sundays? Are you excited to see what the future holds for Michael Penix Jr., Bijan, and the rest of the Falcon squad? Do you live at 755 Battery Avenue? Do you rep for Albies, Acuna, and the rest of Braves country? If so, then let's get united every Wednesday for some Braves, Hawks, UGA, Georgia Tech, Atlanta Dream, Falcons, and more on Georgia Sports Central, only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Everybody, this is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Say hello to my cat, who has decided to make a surprise appearance. We are entering the final portion of our show. We got about 10 minutes left here, so let's talk some baseball news. The Orioles made, I said a couple of moves. They made one move. They brought back starting pitcher Kyle Gibson. Kind of an interesting move. A lot of people in Baltimore were wondering how the Orioles were going to configure this rotation. We knew Zach Eflin, who's the opening day starter. He's right now with Grayson Rodriguez and Kyle Bradish out. He is the ace of the staff. Dean Kramer, we felt pretty confident that he would have a spot in the rotation. Same with veteran Charlie Morton. It would have been very surprising to see him get left out. I had kind of assumed that it was going to be Tomoyuki Sugano and Cade Povich manning the last two spots, with then Albert Suarez getting bumped to the bullpen. They bring in Gibson, who's a known back of the, at this point in his career at least, a back of the rotation, innings eater, number 4 guy. For those of you who are diehard Orioles fans, think Bud Norris when they brought Bud Norris in those early 2010 teams. But kind of interesting. They also announced that it's going to take him a couple weeks to get up to game readiness, which I don't know how that works with the roster. Does he take up a spot for 2 weeks? I'm not sure how that's going to work while he's getting ready. I don't know why the team didn't make this move. If they were going to make this move, they should have made this move when it was discovered that Grayson was going to miss the start of the season, so that Gibson could have been ready to start. So not really sure how that's going to work into the discussion, but having a guy like Gibson can't hurt. I just hope he has under 4.5. Keep that ERA under 4.5. Give me 5 to 6 innings every time you come out, and I'll be good. I'll be good. Obviously, not just Rodriguez and Bradish, but also Tyler Wells is going to be hurt. Andrew Kittredge, who is supposed to be one of the main additions to the bullpen in the offseason, he will start the season on the IL. So lots of injuries to deal with for the Orioles on that pitching staff. One positive note, though, the team did come out in their spring training game today and throw a combined no-hitter against the Pittsburgh Pirates. So that was fascinating to see. I believe it was Zach Eflin got the start. He only went 3 innings, so they didn't really overuse him. But then Greg Soto, Brian Baker, Keegan Aiken, I think, got in on the act. Yanir Cano, a couple of guys who aren't going to be on the roster came in and actually pitched no-hit innings. So, hey, I mean, that can't be bad, right? The team seems to be hitting its stride offensively. I think they've averaged like 6 runs in the last 3 games, so that's good to see. Still 50-50 on Gunnar Henderson starting the season, less than 50-50 on Jorge Mateo, so the team will have to make a decision on who makes the roster there. The Nats struggling. Last few games have looked really bad. They did manage a tie against the Mets today, but this is a team that is, at this point in spring training, you want to see teams start to hit their stride, start to figure things out. The Nats are actually going in the reverse. They were hot to start spring, and they're starting to cool off. That's not a good sign. That's not the way you want to go. They did send DJ Hers and Ogasawaka, the Japanese signee. They did send them down to AAA, which means Mitchell Parker will likely get the 5th starting spot. So Mackenzie Gore's the opening day starter, and then he will be followed up, from the looks of it, by a combination of Jake Irving, Trevor Williams, Parker, and Michael Soraka. Looks like it'll be those 5 with Hers and the Japanese player who's, I think I just butchered his name, so I'm not going to try it again. Of course, we have to unfortunately talk about the Kobe Mayo situation. So Kobe Mayo, for those of you who do not know, is one of the top prospects in all of baseball, but of course, top 2 in the Orioles minor leagues behind Samuel Basallo. Actually, that might have put him ahead of Baseball America might have put him ahead of Basallo. But in any case, Kobe Mayo didn't have a great spring, got sent down to AAA. He had some words of frustration immediately afterwards. He's since kind of backtracked a little bit. I think the team and him kind of talked it out, calmed him down a little bit. I can understand the frustration. He has spent a lot of time in AAA, and he's raked in AAA. So one of the comments he made was, there's nothing left for me to prove in AAA. It's a lose-lose situation because if I perform well, everybody's like, oh, he's already done it. And if I don't perform well, then people will think I've taken a step back. I get it. He's young. He's frustrated. You'll have your time this year, Mayo. I guarantee I would be willing to bet money that you get the call and you come up to Baltimore and you will be here for the foreseeable future. So stay strong, young man. Continue to rake in AAA and continue to give this team many reasons to add you to the major league roster. And then finally, we're going to end it with some football news. Just some quick updates. The Ravens made a signing within the past week. They came out and added Cooper Rush to be their backup quarterback to Lamar Jackson. They signed him to a 2-year deal. Everybody was speaking out about the price. It turns out the price that was initially posted was the maximum value of the contract. The actual contract is only about $3 million a year. I'm sure the team deferred a handful of that. It's a good deal. I like it. He's a solid backup. It's always good to have a solid, legitimate backup to your quarterback. But for both teams, probably pretty much done. We have reached the point in NFL free agency where teams are unlikely to be making major signings because you're a month away from the draft. At this point, you're just going to wait to see how the draft works out and then fill the rest of your needs after the draft, especially with the compensatory formula, the compensatory pick formula. Any signings you make after June 1st don't count towards that formula. So the teams have started this new pattern. They make the signings they want to make, let the draft do its thing, and then they probably make some moves during the draft, and then either immediately afterwards or they wait for June 1st, they, fill out the rest of their roster. So both teams likely done. Probably not going to hear much about them until draft night or the couple weeks leading up to draft, which we will be reintroducing our draft segment on the show coming up here in a couple of weeks, probably the second week in April, when we start with the WNBA draft, which is on April 14th. So probably on Saturday, April 12th, that's when we'll introduce this segment, the draft segment that we introduced last year, so that we can capture the WNBA draft, which figures to be very fascinating for the Mystics. That'll do it for tonight's show. Thank you all for tuning in. Once again, shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Beef Brisket Jerky, Vital Apparel, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, and Raw Nutrition Supplements. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to all of you who listened tonight. Thank you to everybody who jumped in the chat. Taryn Rodriguez, Adam Karnick, Brian Fasciani, Ralph Calise, and then Marcus Los Great jumping in as well. Salute to you, sir. Once again, follow yours truly on X at Let'sWine_IESR. Be sure to follow IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And check out the website for the blog, our merchandise, our show pages, our Hall of Fame, and so much more. If you're a fan of the show or a fan of IESR, do check out the Supporters Club, www.spreaker.com/podcast/Let's Whine About DMV Sports to support today. We'll be back next week for the last week of DMV month, which is, of course, my prime moment to remind everybody, please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. One of my favorite social media posts regarding this topic is that you can afford an Uber or a taxi before you can afford a DUI. So please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. It is simply not worth it. We'll be back next week to talk more sports all around the DMV. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. This has been Mike Patt for Let's Whine About DMV Sports on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.